Hi there, Rachel Notley here, leader of Her Majesty's Loyal Official Opposition. I've just been thrown out of the Assembly by the Speaker because I called out the House Leader for suggesting that Bill 22 did not actually fire the Elections Commissioner when it is clear in black and white that they are firing the Elections Commissioner. I was very forthright that I see Bill 22 as being a fundamental existential threat to the health of Alberta's democracy. It allows for the Premier to threaten and bully and intimidate anybody who stands up against him and says that he has to follow the same laws that the rest of us have to follow. The laws in question are the very laws that got us into office, the laws around our elections. And the commissioner who has been fired is the guy who's been hired to keep us honest in terms of how we get into that legislature building. And as far as I'm concerned, we must stand up against this abuse of power. This has never been done in any jurisdiction anywhere in Canada. Can you imagine if Justin Trudeau had fired the ethics commissioner in the middle of the SNC Lavalin investigation? People would have gone nuts. This is what Jason Kenney has done here in Alberta, and we must speak out. We love our province. I love our province. I care about our democracy, and I know that you do too. So speak up.
So what you just heard there was Rachel Notley, right after she was kicked out of the Alberta Legislature for opposing Jason Kenney's undemocratic Bill 22. What that bill does in simple terms is fire Lorne Gibson, who is the chief investigator into many alleged electoral improprieties by Jason Kenney and his United Conservative Party over the past couple years. And that position is being eliminated and the authority is being rolled into another body. The government argues this is purely for efficiency and cost-saving purposes, but Rachel Notley is correct in noting that the main goal here is overwhelmingly to silence the man who is digging for the truth about what Jason Kenney and his party are trying to hide in terms of their improprieties over the last couple years. That's the only logical understanding of what's happening. Rachel Notley said this in the legislature, and she was accused of casting aspersions towards the governing party, towards the UCP. And the Speaker of the House asked Rachel Notley if she would retract her comments that the government is lying when they say they're not actually firing Gibson. And she refused because, again, she's telling the truth, and for that, she was removed from the House. Rachel Notley was kicked out of the legislature today, standing up for democracy. Jason Kenney and his party are trying to use their absolute majority power in the Alberta legislature to silence any critics they can. And in this case, it's a critic investigating core fundamental issues important in any democracy, which is our electoral system. Because at the end of the day, how those men and women get into the legislature to make decisions on our behalf has to be sacrosanct. There can't be improprieties. There shouldn't even be perceived improprieties. That's why these investigations are so vital. Not just to find criminality or to find errors, but to exonerate people when they've been accused so that the public either way can have confidence that their system works. And Jason Kenney, through this proposed Bill 22, is robbing the Alberta people of that. Rachel Notley is 100% on point when she compared this to a hypothetical situation where Justin Trudeau fired the ethics commissioner while the SNC Lavalin scandal was being examined. So a lot of people felt that Justin Trudeau did some improprietous things during that process. I actually think that as well. Imagine if the person investigating got fired. It would be seen, rightfully so, as an attack on accountability, an admission that there are some people, like the Prime Minister, who would be above the law. Jason Kenney is doing the same thing, but I would argue that this is even worse, because as important as SNC Lavalin and the related scandal was and is, it wasn't about the fundamental nature of how our parties exist, how our electoral system works, how ballots are cast, how fundraising is done. That's really at the core here. Rachel Notley and the Alberta NDP, whatever you think of them on other issues, are standing up for basic human rights and democracy and transparency and accountability in Alberta. And Rachel Notley got kicked out of the legislature for doing that job today. So while maybe some conservatives feel vindicated today because Rachel Notley was kicked out of the legislature for being a quote-unquote, improper actor in the legislature, at the end of the day, she won right now because it's become ever clearer, coast to coast to coast, that something rotten is happening in Alberta, and Jason Kenney and his party need to answer. Why are they firing this man in the middle of a vital investigation? They can talk all they want about saving money and about efficiencies, but if there's one place where we should never try to find efficiencies at the expense of work getting done, it involves our elections, the operation of the elections, and the systems to hold those electoral systems accountable. That's what we need at a fundamental level. And again, Jason Kenney is robbing Albertans of that right. He has a majority in the House of Commons, so in a sense, he can pass the legislation he wants. But it's good to see Rachel Notley using every lever she has, including appealing to the Lieutenant Governor and approaching legal means, to find a way to protect the democracy of Alberta's citizens. Because if this works in Alberta, guys, make no mistake, other premiers, prime ministers, mayors, other elected officials will use their positions of power wherever they can, however they can, to prevent investigations into them once they've won power. And so the lesson will be taught to politicians current and future that you can lie, cheat, and steal while in an election as long as you win, and then you can change the game retroactively. That can't be the lesson that we impart to the rest of the country, and so Rachel Notley needs to be defended, not just in Alberta, but by supporters of democracy, whatever their party stripes, across this country.